Welcome to She Trusts Herself, the podcast for women who are learning to trust themselves, honour their inner voice, and choose themselves without guilt. I'm your host, Tash Leem, author, guest speaker, and certified human design reader. Together, we'll explore overcoming self-doubt, building deep self-trust, personal growth, and stepping into the next version of yourself with confidence. Welcome back to another episode. Today, I am joined by Michaela. Michaela is a nutritionist and occupational therapist. She's the owner of Thrive Nutrition and Wellness Co. Michaela supports women, including mums, to help them feel energized, strong, and confident again with whole foods and realistic routines that fit into real life. She's passionate about not only helping mums and women feel and show up as their best selves, but helping them build healthier families along the way so that they can work together to improve the health of the next generation. And I absolutely love that business philosophy. I think it's such a cool thing to look at because we talk about generational wealth, but looking at generational health, that's so amazing. So glad that you're here and for your first podcast recording too, which is even more exciting. So thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Dive straight into it. I'd love to know, what's the misconception people have about your industry and the work that you do?
I think the biggest misconception is that all a nutritionist does is help with fat loss. And that is obviously something that we do help with, and it is something that people come to me for. But food is so much more than just weight. It is your energy, it is your mood, it is how you show up, how you perform. Like, it literally impacts everything about you. And I think people undervalue just how important food is for both themselves and for their families, for kids as they develop. I'm really trying to increase awareness of how important food is for every part of your body and for functioning. I like to use the example of, it is the difference between me dancing around the living room, absolutely loving life in the afternoon, compared to if I don't eat well, I'm on the couch just exhausted and can't be bothered doing anything. They're two different people. I want to be the energetic one, and it's just, I want that for everyone. So I think it's really raising awareness of, yes, food does impact your weight, but it impacts so much more as well.
Yeah, absolutely love that. I can agree with it more. We forget that food is fuel, and it really matters what we put into our bodies, because if we want to operate at a really high quality level, then if we're inputting really low quality processed sugary foods, then of course we're not going to have the output we want, because we're just not fueling our bodies to perform at that level.
Exactly, 100%.
Getting into business too, what was the moment that you realized that you wanted to build something of your own?
So when I had my daughter, Miley, so she's 3 now, I've always been super passionate about food. Anyone that knows me, it's always been a big part of my life. But having her really made me realize there's so much misleading marketing out there, and how many mums and kids were growing up on these ultra-processed food and not showing up as their best self and not developing it as well as they could be, bringing her up. And I was like, I can't sit back and just accept this as the normal for mums and for the kids of the next generation. I stepped back and was kind of like, what can I do from my end? And I think real change starts with mums, because, you know, obviously not all households are different, but a lot of the time mums are running the house, like making food, doing the food shopping, helping kids off solids, all of that. It has a lot to do with mums. So that was what drove me to start the business. I've got a big fear of my daughter being brought up around, you know, ultra-processed foods and going to schools, and all schools only serving ultra-processed foods, and her having no options for whole foods and things that are actually going to fuel her properly. And it's like, how can I step in and actually make a change in this space? I can't change the world. I'm doing what I can, and it's baby steps along the way.
I love that. I think too, it's about creating that ripple effect. And
100%.
while you may not be able to change that the whole world, you can still start, and then it picks up momentum, and then from there there's more changes. Even if you make a change, at your daughter's school, That's incredible. That's a huge shift. And it's not just for your daughter, it's for all of the kids that go there. And I'm sure then the teachers will start to see a difference in kids' outputs and their ability to pay attention and engage in the learning. And then from there, that's the catalyst for other schools to maybe look at it and maybe do a trial program. And then that's when the change really starts to pick up and become sustainable too.
Yeah, yeah. And I think mums and families, like, we genuinely want what's best for our kids and for ourselves. And it's how can we work together, to, like you said, if you make a change, a small change here, that can then build to another change, people see exactly how you just said, the ripple effect that it has, and how much kids can focus better in schools. And then, that will get passed on to another school. Oh, let's try to implement that here.
Guessing that one of your core values is health. Is that something that's kind of leading the way that you're building your business and living your life currently?
100%. I think without your health, I know without your health, you can't, I don't know if you've heard the saying, but you've got a million problems until your health's gone, and then you've only got one problem. It's hard in, I think, the modern society, so much pressure to be busy all the time, to get work done, to smash out your goals, and the small things like eating well, going for a walk, getting sunshine, spending time in nature, which they don't seem small, but they're the things that really impact your health and how you show up in all other aspects of your life. And I think they just get forgotten, and they're so easily just pushed to I don't have time for that. Like I said, if you don't have your health, what do you have? You don't want to be living a life you don't enjoy. So it's not only important to me, it's so important for my daughter, bringing her up to be healthy and to understand as well the impact that different things will have on her health. Because I just didn't. I mean, I think it's quite normal as you grow up, kids and teenagers, and that you don't understand, and you can get away with anything. So, you feel fine no matter what you do. But then it's not until you get a little bit older that you start having repercussions, and it's like, wow, this is actually important.
Definitely. And did you find when you were a mum that you had to kind of reprioritize going for walks and making sure you were eating whole foods and things, or is it something that's been ingrained in you for a long time, so you kind of didn't skip a beat with it?
Being a mum changed me in every way. Food's always been a big part of my life. I've had, I guess, a poor relationship with food growing up, and I've always been concerned with my weight, and body image has always been on my mind. And when I became a mum, there was this switch in me that made me realize exactly how we started. Food is so much more than your weight, and there's so much more to life than worrying about if you've got an extra fat roll or if you're 2 kilos heavier. I just wanted to show up as my absolute best self for my daughter, and obviously running on no sleep, having a screaming baby, trying to change your whole life around, navigate everything that comes with motherhood. It was the least I could do for myself was to at least fuel myself properly. And that's not hard when you're a mum, and I could never put my daughter down. She was like a clingy baby. I couldn't eat without it was shoving anything down. I'd be trying to get her to sleep, and I hadn't had dinner, and it was 9:30 at night, and it all happened. But that was when I was like, all right, I need to put strategies and routines in place to make sure that I'm fueling myself properly, because I want to be the best mom I can be.
I've got a 15-month-old, and I can 100% relate to that Velcro baby. Absolutely love it. Wouldn't change it for the world. But it is so hard because you're wanting to make sure that you're feeding them really well. And then you're also wanting to make sure that you're taking care of yourself too. And then it gets to the end of the day and you feel really exhausted, and you're like, oh wait, I haven't done all of the things that I used to do before being a mum, like drinking water and having a piece of fruit and some vegetables and things, because you're just trying to grab the quickest thing that you can. I like how you said the least that you could do for yourself was eating well. And I honestly feel like that's the most that you can do for yourself in that space, because you can't necessarily control how much your baby does or doesn't sleep. Working out, I know that you mentioned in the answers that you provided me before our chat, you're talking about waking up at 4 a.m. and your daughter would wake up, and literally that was my morning today too. I woke up at 5 a.m. and then my son was up. I swear they know, and it's great because you get that extra time with them, but it is so hard trying to fit all of the things in. So I think
even if you just prioritize eating well, like that's a huge step in the right direction to making sure that your health is paramount. Even if you don't get the steps in or the movement, like at least you're fueling your body really well.
Once you're a mum, you can plan everything. Like you can say, I'm working out, I'm like eating this, and you can wake up and the day just goes completely different, and you can't plan that.
Yep.
And I think in them moments as well, you have to give yourself grace and accept it's okay if things don't go to plan. Like you've got tomorrow, missing one work. Yes, you want to get your workout in and exercise is great, but missing one workout is not going to matter in 5 years' time. I think appreciating the time with Bub, I've definitely had times where my little one now, she'll still wake up and I'll start my workout. I've done, one deadlift and then she starts crying on the monitor. And there's obviously that little part in your head that's like, oh, can I just do my workout? But then you get in there and this is a short period of time. There's only going to be a little time where she actually wants cuddles with mum. So it's like, actually make the most of this and your workout will still be there tomorrow.
I totally get it. Before becoming a mum myself, I was like, oh yeah, everything's going to go to plan. I can just have a routine and stick to it. And then you've got to reframe what discipline is. And I think it's also accepting that the plan is good until it has to change. And then you just have to be adaptable. And the more frustrated you get with things changing, then you're just stressing yourself out unnecessarily. And having to release that control sucks so much.
Yeah.
But once you do, then I feel like that's when you can be more present and just enjoy what's going on a lot more too.
That was a huge part with me. Jumping back to the nutrition side, I noticed a lot of high-performing mums have that anxiety when they become a mum, or the type A personalities where you want everything to go to plan. And when it doesn't go to plan, it is hard to go with the flow. Without knowing I was anxious, now I look back, I was just like anxious all the time. A big thing that helped me was getting my nutrition back on track and focusing on that, because when you undereat, your stress goes up and you're more anxious naturally, and you can't handle the change of environments or the change of routines as well as you can when you're at least fueling your body properly and you're not having, sugar crushes and all of that. I think that's another reason why I noticed at that time the difference in how I could just manage being a mum in them early days and how much the nutrition side of it really impacted it.
That's amazing. And then when you're working with your clients, do you notice that they see a shift almost immediately when they start changing the way that they eat?
Definitely. It's not given the credit that is needed. So people don't say, oh, I'm anxious right now. It must be because I haven't eaten properly. They say, whatever reason they're anxious, this hasn't gone to plan or whatever. And it's like, yes, but there's a difference between how you manage in these situations and the way you're fueling your body impacts that so much. Even the way you wake up in the morning, the way you feel. I find it's the energy and the mornings that people usually notice first. Sleep. Also, people don't realize how much your nutrition impacts sleep. Like if you eat before you go to bed, that you're obviously digesting, then you're not sleeping as deeply. If you're having blood sugar crashes in the middle of the night, you're waking up at 2 a.m., like that's impacting your sleep, but people just don't link them together. And once you actually do and you actually notice the difference, then it's like this light bulb goes off like, oh my God, this is actually impacting me in so many ways that I didn't realize.
Because it's so true, because sometimes we look at treating the symptoms and we go, oh, it's just because we had a busy day. And we forget that it's that we had 5 cups of coffee during the day.
Exactly.
Or you're just giving yourself like sugary snacks before bed because you're stressed out, or you're just mindlessly eating and you're not really paying attention to what you're putting in your body, or it's just processed food after processed food and stuff that's, and it's like you haven't eaten a vegetable in 2 weeks. It's just interesting the way that we look at it.
Yeah, and it's a whole lifestyle as well. So it's, do you have just back on the sleep thing, do you have a wind down routine, or are you scrolling on your phone until 11 p.m. and then wondering why you can't get to sleep? It's connecting the dots.
Because I know that you focus more on a holistic approach to health, including movement and what you're fueling your body with and just how you're approaching your day. Is there a habit or ritual that supports your mental health as well as your just overall health?
I have a few. Nutrition is obviously the first one. Making sure I, eat enough, because That is sometimes, well, it is still tricky for me because I am always on the go. I'm tall, I work out, I literally never sit still. Like this is probably the longest I've sat still in a long time. So it's really easy for me to not eat enough because I need a lot of food. So making sure I have a plan in place and I know what I'm going to eat to, make sure that I get what I need. The other one is walking. I absolutely love walking. Like I could walk for hours and hours. So if I'm feeling stressed and my brain is just about to explode, my go-to is go for a walk. And the great thing about walking is it's low impact, so it's good for the body. You can take the kids, you can go if it's raining. You can literally do it almost at any time and anywhere. I like dancing. If I could go somewhere and do something, dancing's always good for the mental health. It obviously gives you that movement and you've got the music which releases endorphins and yeah, I love a good dance.
It's amazing. And if you're short on time, is there something that you would choose to do? Say if you only have 5 minutes to do something for yourself, what would you choose to do?
I would just try to slow down and breathe. Deep breaths is something that I do encourage all my clients to do. I love to tell my clients to do it before they eat as well because it's great for staying aware of what you're eating and getting your body ready to digest. It's something though that I do struggle with personally and have to always remind myself to do. If I'm out and about and feeling a bit tense and needing to relax, my go-to would be deep breaths, just kind of calm my nervous system. Not always
That's
easy
awesome.
if you've got a 3-year-old screaming at you, but
But it's good because I think your breath is something that is super important and it's again something else that's very underrated and
100%.
just even it just helps you come back to the present moment. Most of us are really busy, like no one's gonna argue that. And it doesn't matter whether you've got kids or not, like we just fill our schedules. And so we're just racing from thing to thing to thing. And especially with meals, it's like if you're eating on the go, then you're eating standing up and like that's not great for your digestion.
Yeah. Don't
Again,
realize that
like
it's the little things that can have such an impact, like chewing your food a bit more, making sure you stop, breathe and actually sit to eat, right? Rather than exactly like you just said, rushing out the door and shoving the food down. You don't know how much you've eaten, your body's stressed, so then you're bloated and then you're like, oh, I must be intolerant to that food because I'm bloated. But it's like you might just need to relax before you eat it. Obviously not all the time,
So
but
true.
there's so many other little things that people
Yeah.
are like, oh, that wouldn't make a difference. And a lot of the time they do.
even eating in front of the television too. At least you're sitting down, hopefully.
Yeah.
But it's just you're not paying attention to
Mindless
what you're eating.
eating.
Or stress eating, another big one.
I find a lot of my clients, like their nighttime eating in front of the TV, a lot of it is habitual or they genuinely get some enjoyment out of it. Food is enjoyment. You want to enjoy your food. A lot of the times in them situations, it's like, that's fine. Like plan that into your day. Let's plan what your dessert or your snack going to be at this time. Let's portion it out properly. Then if you want to take that to the couch and enjoy it while you watch a movie, that's completely fine. There's a difference between doing that or getting like 4 blocks of chocolate and accidentally eating them all and then feeling guilty. You go into the cycle of the next day, you're restricting and then just spirals. You can enjoy a planned dessert in front of the TV watching a movie if you want, in my opinion.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's really refreshing to hear because I think sometimes people will think nutritionists will be like, oh, you have to follow like a certain plan, like religiously, and you've got to eat in these environments. And if you eat outside of that, then you're doing it wrong. And it's like, no, like it's
It's just
about,
not sustainable.
and correct me if I'm wrong, or like share your philosophy on it. But it's like, it's just fitting it into your lifestyle and making sure that it works for you.
100%. Yeah, it's got to work for you. It's got to be sustainable and you've got to enjoy it because at the end of the day, like the way I work is how can we set up your life so that we turn this into your new lifestyle? This is the new you. This is how you live. It's not a short-term plan that you're going to do for a month and then go back to your old ways, because what's the point of that? How do we actually set your life up? What routines, what habits, what strategies? How do we teach you to live in a way that supports your health and your goals ongoing? Everyone always says to me, oh, you eat so healthy. And it's like, well, I eat well, but I genuinely love how it makes me feel. And I love the life that I live. Like, it's not like I'm forcing myself to eat this food because I think I have to. And I think once you feel that difference in yourself and in how you show up and in how you feel and how you sleep and how you can play with the kids and how you can focus at work, it makes it worth it.
That's so true, because you don't realize the difference in how you feel until you start fueling your body differently.
Yeah.
And it becomes addictive in like a good way,
100%.
where you start to feel so much better and you're like, well, why would I choose something else? It's like when you're on holiday and maybe you don't have access as much to the things that you enjoy.
Yeah.
And you realize like you just feel like that slump. My hubby and I, when we were in Italy a while ago now, I got to the end of our trip and I was like, I'm so sick of eating carbs. And I just like fully raged because I'm like, I just want like a fresh salad or something.
Yeah.
Like my body was just like, feed me this. And then we were at like a train station, and so they didn't really have any fresh salads or anything. So I came back with like a spinach and ricotta roll, and I felt so defeated, but I was so hungry.
It's so
But
hard,
just
isn't
like,
it?
it's that kind of thing where you just go like, oh, I just really want this. And it is hard at first, especially if it feels like you're moving from like a lot of processed foods and carb heavy or whatever your diet may look like to the new way of eating and your new lifestyle. But it's like thinking of the person that you're becoming and doing this for you.
Exactly.
And when you start to trust and lean into that, then it's like you're going to see those differences. And if you've got kids, they're going to notice it too. It's like, oh, mummy and daddy have so much more energy now. Like they look happier, they feel better. Like it's not just a change for you, it's people around you.
Yeah. And your gut actually changes as well. When you first change your diet, for example, if you are eating a lot of processed food and you do change to a more whole food based diet, it does take a while for your body to adapt, but then your gut bugs actually change, and then the food that you crave turns into the good food. So people that say, oh, all I crave all the time is Macca's, and then they change their diet and all of a sudden they're like, I can't think of anything worse than Macca's. Like the thought of Macca's makes me want to vomit. It's because you actually have these little gut bugs that are telling your brain what they want you to feed it. So the more you feed the bad bugs, the more they are going to crave the bad food.
I love that description. That's such a cool way of breaking it down so it's easy to understand why your body's craving certain foods.
Your body's smart. You just got to support it properly. I had a client the
Yeah.
other day as well, and she's doing amazing. I'm so proud of her. But she had a little bit of chocolate before bed the other night, and so we had our weekly check-in, and I was like, you're doing really well on your plan, all right? She's like, she only had, I think it was 3 squares of chocolate or something, and she was like, I was so sick after that chocolate. And I was like, wow. She's like, the difference, like, oh, normally I would eat it fine, but obviously she made a change in her diet. And it was just really interesting. And then she said that night she didn't sleep well because she'd had it before bed, and she actually noticed the difference that it made.
Wow. That's huge. And I think really cool too, once they maybe stop working with you, you're setting your clients up to succeed. You're not just giving them like a tool while they're working with you. You're saying, here, like, let's have the education, the check-ins, and you've got that accountability, but you make sure that they've got their wings so they can fly later on, and they know the signs to look out for. It sucks that she didn't have a great night's sleep, but it's such a good reminder to know, okay, if I decide to do this, this is a consequence of my actions. Whereas before, many of us probably wouldn't be aware, like you were saying earlier about the connection. We just go, oh, we just had a bad night's sleep because our brain couldn't switch off. And it's like, because of X, Y, and Z. It's the things that you don't necessarily think of. Whereas now she's like, okay, direct correlation. If I ate chocolate before bed, I can enjoy it, but like, here's the consequence. It's the same with like drinking alcohol, whatever the case may be. It's like, if you go too hard, you're probably going to have a hangover. So you can still choose to do that if you want to, but like, you've got to live with the consequence the next day.
I was so proud of her for putting the dots together. A lot of my job in them situations is helping people to connect them dots, because exactly like you just said, it's, oh, I didn't sleep well last night, don't know why. And it's like, all right, let's delve into this a little bit further. What did you have for dinner? What time did you have that? What's your stress like at the moment? Have you had water or whatever it is? It's looking into it a bit further, not just, I didn't sleep well.
Yeah. Working with clients, what's one of the things that you love most about that?
The change in people. People come to me and it's natural to be a little bit hesitant. Is this going to work? I've tried this before. My body's at this stage now, my body won't lose weight. Whatever it is, there's always some kind of hesitation there. And there's always a moment when they realize that it's working and they're not wasting their time anymore. It can be a long process depending what your goal is. It's not something that happens in a week. And sometimes there are 4 or 5 weeks of just staying consistent and trusting the process. And that is hard. People are paying money, people are like showing up, and they obviously have trust in me because they've come to me, but it's still a level of trust. So when that moment clicks and we get on the check-in and they're happy about whatever it is, and oh my God, this is actually working, and I can see why we did this last week, it's just so rewarding. Then you build that rapport more then, because you're like, that trust comes and it's like, all right. And then you kind of go to that next level for the next few weeks of the program, and then ongoing, however long they end up staying with me. And yeah, it's just a really nice feeling just to be able to help them.
That's so awesome. And it's such a cool, like, shared bonding experience too, because it's such a vulnerable thing, I think, to admit when you need a change. And there are, unfortunately, a lot of people in any industry, I'd say, where some people are in it for the wrong reasons and people have been burnt. So having them put that trust in something, and also on top of that, we've got the whole instant gratification. So we expect results immediately and we're like, oh, hang on, like, why isn't this working? And it's that holding steady and trusting the process. And sometimes, like you said, it does take a little bit longer, but it's so cool that they do hold that belief in you. And obviously you've seen the results in yourself and in your clients, so you don't waver from that. And I think you being the solid foundation is absolutely incredible, because then they know, okay, well, Michaela's not worried. She's not stressing. So like, I'm just going to keep going.
Yeah.
She knows I'll see the results. It's just a matter of when, not if.
Yeah. Being females, we have cycles, weight changes and things like that. So there's so many other things that come into play as well. And it's
Hormones.
Yeah. Yeah, someone just before their period and the whole world's ending. Let's check in again next week.
Yeah.
Like you said, there's so many people out there now that they're obviously trying to sell whatever their service or their program is too. And it can be, I guess, easy. Well, not easy, but when people are there and they're trusting the process, but it is a slower process because it's a sustainable process that you're actually going to get long-term proper results from that you can stick with. But someone's out there selling this fast, quick fix. You're going to lose 10 kilos in 2 weeks and you're going to have your dream body tomorrow. I think that comes down to making sure you're working with the right people. Once you do have that relationship and you have that bond and that trust, it's a lot easier because, like you said, you're working as a team. I'm not just someone that's there that you're paying. I'm literally there as your friend, your like teammate, your partner. I'm working and I'm adapting your plan as we go. I always say to people, if you have any questions through the week, like just send me a message and we can battle it out then. You don't have to wait till I check in. I want to help you there. Or if you've had a bad day and you've accidentally sat on the couch and binged a tub of ice cream, don't throw everything away. Give me a message and we'll work through it and we'll get you back on track for tomorrow. It's all about working together and adapting. We're all human and things change and plans have to change. Life happens. People go on holidays. And I think a big part, especially in today's world when there is so much information out there. It's not an information problem. People can go on Google or use AI to get information. But having that personal support there makes all the difference for accountability, and people need someone to talk to. Like you said, this is a vulnerable thing people are going through and it is hard. I'm not going to say it's easy. You have to commit and you have to lock in. I probably want my clients to achieve their goals more than they do. I'm absolutely gunning for them. So having someone there that you can just talk to, I think makes the world of difference.
That's amazing. And even when you're explaining the work that you do with your clients, you can see the love and passion that you have. AI definitely can't give to people. They just may give information that's not even tailored to them. And working with someone, having an accountability partner makes a huge world of difference, because they hold you to that next level and that new standard. And when you do have that doubt, you've got someone there that is strong and standing still and being stable and being like, no, you've got this. Like, you may not see it now, but you'll get there. Yeah, and if we could do it all ourselves, then we'd all be successful, healthy, wealthy millionaires. Exactly. So clearly we need help, which there's nothing wrong with, because we are human and we need community around us, but it's just finding your person. And I think too, like, if we go a little bit into your lived experience, if you feel like sharing it, has the way your relationship with food and becoming a mum, has that shaped the way that you've built your business and work with your clients?
100%. I remember when I was 8 years old being scared to have a banana before school because I just had it in my head that I was fat. I hate using that word, but that's the word that was in my head. I was never overweight. I've always been lean. I was out playing riding horses, but then I'd go to school and I remember mum trying to get me to have breakfast and I wouldn't have breakfast, and then I'd sit on the bus and I'd had this weird thing in my head that I was good because I hadn't had breakfast that day. I struggled growing up. I didn't tell anyone. I battled with it myself, and I guess I was a little bit embarrassed about it, and I never wanted to admit. I think I knew objectively I wasn't overweight, so it wasn't something I felt I could share. I wasn't underweight either. I was lean. People would look at me and say I looked healthy. And I remember I did lose quite a bit of weight when I got to about 21-ish, and I remember my two best friends coming to me. We were on a holiday. We'd just been out for lunch, and I had obviously chosen a real small option, and they brought it up with me, and I got so defensive about it because I was like, there's no way, you know how much I like my food, there's no way I just got so defensive. And I look back at that now and it blows my mind, because I know they obviously cared about me, and they were some of the closest people to me. They recognized something was wrong. It's taken a lot, but I've worked through that, and I would like to say I've healed my relationship with food now. I genuinely fuel my body really well, and I'm really proactive, and I'm so aware of what my body needs, and like we said before, the difference it makes. If I have days where I haven't fueled my body properly, I notice, and I'm straight away get back to what do I need now. There's so many downstream effects on your hormones, etc., that I just don't want for myself. I want to age well, and I want to be a good mum. I don't want to be frail and have my bones breaking because I wanted to be skinny for my whole life. That doesn't align with me. And this was a big part of why I started the business as well, because I know I can't stop everything from happening. All I can do is my best, but I don't want my daughter to go through the same thing that I went through. I don't want other people struggling with it as well, or if they are, I want to be able to help them. I want to be able to help them understand the importance of fueling their body properly. It's not worth losing your life, memories, and wasting so much brain space over your body and what you're eating. I don't say that lightly, because I know how hard that is when I'm sitting there telling myself, go out and have fun and stop thinking about this, but all you can think about is the fact that you had an extra piece of food. It doesn't make sense, but I know how strong these thoughts are in your brain. It was a big reason why I felt the push to start the business as well, because I want my daughter learning the importance of food as fuel. And I never want her to tie her worth to the size of her body. And that is so important for me. That underpins all my values in the business. I am very big on helping women feel their best, to feel energized, to feel confident in their body, and to get the best out of their life through nutrition and lifestyle. Someone can come to me and we can work on losing fat, because I understand that will make you feel better in your body. That is a big part of what people are searching for, and that is completely fine. But I would never want to say my business is specifically just a fat loss coach, for example, because I think there is so much more to it and to me than that. The language that I use in my business and at home, I'm very cautious about. It's so easy for people to, I think, certain generations to sort of throw away comments of, oh, you look chubby, or oh, you're going to get fat eating that, or things like that I hear, and I'm just like, stop. Awareness of the impact that can have, especially on kids growing up, on teenagers. People would never have looked at me as an 8-year-old, for example, and thought, oh, me laughing about her having fish and chips, saying, oh, that you ate a lot, you might get fat. They would never link that would actually have a long-term impact on me and my teenage years and all of that. Raising awareness for that, and then also being so conscious about how I speak to others and how I speak to my own daughter.
And I loved everything that you shared there. I resonate so much with what you shared about growing up and things like that. Yeah, I definitely see myself in your story. Was a chubby kid, so I did get the comments of like, you're overweight and you need to lose weight and stuff from a supposed best friend. And it really just, it takes a long time. Like, I think for me it was like 15 years to really repair the relationship that I had with food, and also with myself, to know that I was enough and to detach my self-worth from the number on the scale. Like, it's incredibly hard to do. Can do that and get through the other side. It reminds other people that are still in that process that it is actually possible. Like, it's definitely not the easiest thing to do, but when you can get through the other side of that, it's so freeing. And I think too, having a daughter, she'll be able to look at you and go, okay, mum loves herself, really comfortable with who she is. Look at her taking care of herself. Like, that's such a good way.
Yeah.
And my mum growing up was a smoker. She skipped breakfast and barely ate and stuff like that. That was her choice. That was my idol. And she would be, well, you're not eating breakfast, or you're not really eating much for lunch and dinner. It's like, okay, but you're being such a hypocrite right now. If we want to see change, then I think we have to lead by example
100%.
as best as we can too.
100%.
Yeah.
You said that so well, and I'm so proud of you for getting through all of that as well, because I know how hard it is. The language you use at home has such a big impact, and I'm always speaking, like, look how strong mummy looks today, or why is mummy exercising? Because I want to get strong, I want to be able to lift you up and throw you in the air. It's never because I want to lose weight, and it's never I'm not going to eat that because there's too much fat now, or that kind of language that growing up our age group was just the normal. It's impacted so many women and men out there. Leading by example, that's a way to impact kids. What you have in the home, what you do, what you have for breakfast. Like, if you're not having breakfast, or you're having some sugary cereal, but then you're trying to get your kids to eat breakfast, that's not going to work. Kids are going to do the opposite of what you tell them anyway. So the best way is to not tell them and to just sit there. I don't know what your kids are like, but I know with my little one, if I sit there, whatever I have in front of me, literally, it could be the worst food in the world, and she will come up and want it because I've got it. But if I try and give her something and say, eat this, she'll be like, I don't like that, even if I know she loves it. Role modeling, it's important. The things you do, the things you say, and also the things that you don't realize you are modeling. The simple things, how you look at yourself or how you think about yourself in clothes. Like, do you go to the shop and try and clothes and say, oh, I look ugly? Or are you like, oh, that's probably not the best, I'll try something else? Little things like that, of the words you use and how you talk about yourself, has such an impact on them.
For sure. And even the throwaway comments too, like you were saying earlier about the fish and chips. And for someone else, they would have forgotten that comment as soon as they said it. They probably didn't even realize they said it. But that's the kind of thing that you hold on to for years too.
Yeah.
And it's crazy the impact that it has. We can have throwaway comments, but they're actually kind ones. Then obviously we want to try and erase throwaway comments altogether. But if it's a kind one, or just like a compliment or something instead, like, oh, you're eating fish and chips, like, that must be really yummy. Like, that's literally all you have to say.
Yeah, 100%.
It just blows my mind with how everyone thinks they're entitled to have comments about your body. And again, going back to when we grew up, the average size body was seen as plus size and fat. And I'm glad that now that there's finally a bit more of a shift towards like body positivity and less body shaming. But it's just like, that seems to be the metric that so many people get judged on. And then we go, okay, we've got to restrict food. So we try and meet this image of ourselves that other people expect. And then we don't even think about the long-term implications. So many of us, I think, would have done it during our teenage years, and we just don't even know the damage that we've probably done to our bodies.
Honestly.
During that growing phase.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't have the information.
Yeah.
Hopefully help the next generation not go through that. I think that's just absolutely incredible. And obviously helping mums and women now, that's also amazing.
Yeah, honestly, there's so many women don't speak up, but I think there is so many women our age that have battled their undereat, lost periods, and even women out there that have the perfect body. This is another story that I haven't really spoken about much, but when I was underweight, I looked good though. Everyone would look at me, I'd put a bikini on, and everyone would say, oh my goodness, you look so good. How do you get a body like that? What are you doing? Like, I want to look like you. And obviously that makes you feel good. Like, anyone's going to like getting comments like that. But at the same time, I hadn't had my period for 9 months. I had food thoughts constantly. I was obsessed with food and I wasn't healthy. As soon as your period goes, as a woman, you're not healthy. That is the first sign that something's wrong. Overtraining, undereating. But then I'd go somewhere and they'd say, wow, you look amazing. And that just makes it harder. I know these people are trying to be nice and give me a compliment, but it makes it even harder for me to then go and accept that I need to put on some weight and I need to eat more to actually be healthy. And that comes back to my values that we said before. Health is so much more important. And now I obviously value health and longevity and energy and all of that so much more than the ideal body that actually isn't the body that's meant for me. Throwaway comments, whether they're meant as positive or negative, they can be seen as positive, but how that person interprets them is going to be so influential depending on what's going on in that person's head, what their history is, what they've struggled with. People just don't realize. Yeah, you said it really well. Not commenting on people's body, I think, is a big one. If someone's working towards a goal and they come to you and say, how do I look or something, that's different. That's been asked for, and that's something that they are openly working towards. I don't think people need to go up to someone randomly without being asked and just throw away comments about what they look like, because there is so much more to people than their looks. How are you showing up? How happy do you look? How engaged are you in conversations? How focused are you at work? All of these other things that are so much more important than how you look in a bikini.
Oh, I absolutely love that. Well, thank you for sharing the story as well. Appreciate the vulnerability. And yeah, it's definitely something I think a lot of women have probably gone through. But it's the compliments. And if you feel like you're too big, or other people have critiqued you for being like a bigger size, or maybe you feel that internally, again, when you start getting those compliments, you go, oh, great, like this is how I'm accepted. And so then you just kind of keep going, okay, I need to keep this up, even though you have no energy. And like you said, you might look good in a bikini, but it's like, at what cost? Whereas looking healthy and glowing and being happy in yourself without having to like sacrifice and have your mind like constantly thinking about, oh, how many calories have I had today? Oh, I really shouldn't have eaten that. The brain, when I got through that, when I stopped like the restrictive binge eating cycle, I didn't realize how much time I had spent thinking about food. And it's ridiculous, like how much time you give it, and then you go like, oh, I actually have so much more brain space to think about other things now, freeing from that. But it's also the perspective of just feeling really good within yourself too. And there's so many different ways that you can give people compliments too. Non-physical ones are my absolute favorite to give others. And it's not because I don't care about how people look, but I think when you go through something personally yourself, you don't know what they've gone through. So it's just easier to go like, oh, you're looking like you've got a really good glow today, or like you're looking like really energetic or vibrant. It's just about the person. That makes a huge difference too. And like you said, when people are actively asking for feedback, by all means, give that feedback, because that's their invitation to you to go, hey, I'm doing this. Can you let me know what you've seen?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's a really good way of approaching it.
Yeah. And you made a really good point. When you're so deep in that headspace, you don't realize how much it's affecting you, and you can't think clearly because you're not eating properly. You've got a bit of anxiety probably. Your stress is up here all the time. You're not actually functioning properly, but you're so deep in it at the time, you don't realize that. So it's not until you actually do move past that and you actually heal, whether you fully heal the relationship or you do at least start seeing the progression in the right way and you start fueling yourself properly, then you start to be, like you said, oh my goodness, how much of my life has this been taking up without me realizing? You can be in that headspace for so long, you just start to think it's you. This is just how I am. This is my personality. It's so freeing and refreshing when you look back and you're like, wow, that isn't me. There is so much more to me than that, and I can offer the world so much more. It annoys me how much I look back and I'm like, I could have done so much better in these places, and I probably could have performed so much better wherever it was in sport or whatever it is if I had just fueled myself properly. But I was too worried about putting on weight, so I didn't. It was always a little, can I eat today? I'd go and compete. I used to compete horses very high, and I'd never fuel myself properly before cross country because I gave it I'll probably lose some weight today because I've got all this exercise that I'm doing. And now I look back and it's like, one, I just don't want other women, children and other people to have to deal with that. I want to help them if I can.
I love that so much. I feel if you were around earlier, for both of us, we would have had a different outcome. But I think too, the fact that we've got through it and other women with your help, or maybe they're still on the path to overcoming that, it's really sad. And like sometimes I do the same thing. I look back at my younger self and I go, oh man, like my heart just breaks for you because you didn't realize how great you were. And how much you were limiting yourself because you were just trying to control what you were eating and drinking like 5 coffees just to try and keep energized during the day and just feeling constantly exhausted. And you're thinking that you're taking care of yourself because you're watching what you eat, but you're not really. And I think when you start to look at it differently and see food as fuel and not something to control and deprive yourself of, that's where the relationship with yourself also deepens. Like you feel more connected to yourself, but it's from a loving place where you can be your best friend again rather than just hating your own existence.
Yeah.
And I just think the work that you're doing is so powerful and so...
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, so just before we wrap up, I've just got 2 more questions for you. So the first one, what chapter are you stepping into next? And this could be in business, in life, whatever you feel like sharing.
I think for me, the next chapter is all about just saying it really aligns with my true self and everything, all my values. It's so easy for me. I think in business specifically, I'm still learning about business. So I know I'm a nutritionist and an occupational therapist. I know how to help people, but this is the first time I built a business, and I'll be honest about that. So learning about that side of things, and there's so much information that gets thrown at me. Do this, do this, do this. It's easy to, I guess, try and do everything right and get lost. And at the end of the day, there's a reason I'm doing this. I have a strong why behind building this business, and I want to just make sure I stay 100% aligned with that. And I don't care if it takes me a little bit longer to build the business, as long as everything that I am doing aligns with me, what I care about and what I'm passionate about. Because at the end of the day, that's the business I want to build, the people I want to help, and the reason for this. I'm not just building a business to make money. That's not the reason I'm doing this. I'm doing this because I want to help women and mums and children and actually make a change on the big scale. I want to change what's seen as normal. I want women to actually feel good. I want kids to grow up well and have a good relationship with food and know that food is fuel and feel good and perform their best and strive in school. The question was, what chapter am I stepping into? It's making sure everything I'm doing is truly aligned with my values. If I get lost, or if I feel a bit overwhelmed or off track, just stopping and stepping back into the basics. What are my values? Why am I doing this? And staying on that track, I can't go wrong.
I absolutely love that. And it's so true, because you can go on 100 different side quests, because there's 1,000 different ways to do everything these days. And having all of the information at your fingertips is great until you realize you're trying to do something that's not for you. Having such a strong sense of self and knowing the business, the mission behind it, and the values and the foundation, and getting that right is so important and such an underrated part of building a business, because everyone's so quick to scale up that they forget the foundation. Spending that extra time building it so it's sustainable and lasts is absolutely incredible and super important.
That's it as well. And you don't want to, like, for example, I've had times, like I just said, where I felt a little bit, I guess I sat there and I was like, I feel like I'm not doing what's truly aligned with me right now. And I stopped and I was like, all right, don't keep going down the wrong path. Go back to your why, go back to what you started doing. And that's what I've done. I'm instantly full of life again and absolutely loving everything I'm doing because it's truly aligned with why I'm doing it. So yeah. Well said.
Makes a huge difference. I love that. And lastly, just before we wrap up, what's one thing you'd love every woman listening to this episode to remember about herself?
I think every woman needs to remember that she deserves to live her best life. She deserves to be happy, confident, energized, and doing what is aligned with her and what truly makes her happy. I think as women, it is so easy. We are naturally inclined to want to keep other people happy. And it's so easy for people to just keep people pleasing and, yep, I'll do that for you, I'll do that for you, I'll do that for you. And women specifically putting themselves last. And especially with kids as well, that's the other big one. And I know it's really hard with kids because if you're anything like me, your kids are everything to you. But remembering that you deserve to be happy as well, and you do deserve to put yourself first and live your best life. You only get one life, and you want to live that in alignment with what truly makes you happy. And I think women just need to remember that they do deserve that, and they shouldn't feel guilty for prioritizing themselves or putting themselves first.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more with that. It's so true. And whether you're a mum or not, it's that want to people please and to meet the perception that others have of you, even if it's not the perception that, or expectation or hope that you have for yourself. Being able to separate from that is really freeing and super important, because you do deserve to put yourself first, and that whole main character energy philosophy definitely plays into it, because we're not here to be martyrs, we're here to be ourselves. And especially if you've got kids, you've got to show them that yes, they are like your everything. But if you want to be around for their life, then you need to take care of yourself, because if you're constantly pouring from an empty cup, then you're not going to be there in the capacity that you want to be anyway.
Exactly. And a big one for me as well is, how do you want your kids to remember you? I want my kids to remember me as the true me, happy, outgoing, driving for my goals. Amali is my everything, and I will always be there for her. But I also want her to be able to look up and be like, wow, I'm proud of my mum and everything she did. And I think that's something that's important to remind yourself of too, because you are more, like, you are a mum, but you are more than a mum.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. And just before I let you go, again, thank you so much for being on the podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on and hear you talk about all of the things that you're passionate about. I think the listeners are going to get so much goodness out of this. And if there are women that are listening to this and are like, oh my God, I have to work with Michaela, I will link your details in the show notes. Would you like to let them know where they can find you on social media, or if you've got a website?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I have genuinely really enjoyed this conversation, and you've highlighted again how important what I do is, because you are living proof of just how many women actually are out there struggling or have gone through these struggles. And I'm so glad that you're out on the other side. It just shows me that the work I'm doing is really needed, which is really important to me. You can find me on Instagram, so I'm michaela.thrivenutritionco, or also on my website, which is thrivenutritionco.com.au.
Perfect. Well, I will link both of those in the show notes so people know exactly where they can find you. Again, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
And that's a wrap on another episode. If this one resonated with you, I'd love for you to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any future conversations, and share it with someone else who's learning to trust herself again. You can connect with me on Instagram, Tash, where I share more about self-trust, personal growth, and human design. If you'd like to go deeper, you can explore my books and offerings, all designed to support you as you build self-trust and step into the next version of yourself with confidence. Until next time, please remember that you're not too much or too little. You're just you. Keep choosing yourself.